All right. Well, tonight we got a subject I've been trying to find an expert on for a while, and that is the Mothman of West Virginia, Point Pleasant. That's the right town, isn't it? I didn't get that one wrong.
That's correct.
I try hard all day about Indrid Cold, and I wonder if I said Pleasant View, West Virginia. But yeah, we're going to talk about the Mothman tonight, and we got Ryan Paul here talk about Wendigo and the Hyena Man.
Yeah.
But enough about them. Everybody, please subscribe. Trying to get my updates here. I was just talking about it. Tennessee Haunts and Legends Expo, 21st of October. Tons of swag, tons of stickers. But back to our guest. We've got Ashley Hilt, the Asherz, Ryan Paul Tremblay from Monsters Radio, the Wendigo guy. How's it going, everybody? I was glad to see everybody showed up.
Yeah, Ryan.
Hey, I showed up on time, Ashley. I was early. Where were you?
I showed up on time.
I was early.
Ryan didn't RSVP. I'm like, I know he probably doesn't even speak French.
I should speak French. I better speak French. Holy shit.
So full disclosure, Asherz, I had a lady on here who I thought was as much of a Mothman fan as you. And I didn't introduce you. Crap. I talked all about me. Asherz is a fortean investigator, cryptid enthusiast, and passionate Mothman researcher, because I just learned 40 and I was going to say it, by God. And of course, Ryan.
Of course.
Learning words over like a human thesaurus. But but she came on here and knew like one or two things and said she went to Point Pleasant and got a headache and left. And ever since then, I've got kind of Mothman blue balls, to be honest.
Yeah, wow. I don't blame you. And, who was it, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, the rest of her stories were good, but she was kind of like, it was Karen Pedroza. She was real good. She's a real cool lady.
Oh yeah, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, she's producing a show. I think it's gonna be on Paraflix soon.
Oh, okay.
But like, I was really excited about her Mothman knowledge. She knew more about other stuff and things that happened to her, like in her haunted house. But she goes, "Yeah, I went there and I got a headache." I'm like, "Oh no, tell me more." She goes, "No, I just got violently ill and left." I'm like, "It's not a Mothman." So Richard Gere had a more Mothman experience than that.
Right. Yes, that is a very
experience.
Yeah, that's I mean, there's maybe 3 people on the whole planet that might know just as much as I do, but that's about it.
So what I kind of want to start it off as like a Mothman 101. Like I'm going to assume, and tell me if I'm wrong. Well, I'm going to assume everybody knows the story about how they saw him in November of that year, and yada yada yada. They fell, the bridge broke and everything. Tell me about like the inside baseball of the Mothman. Like what didn't the movie cover, and what do people need to know?
Oh, the movie's awful. It really doesn't cover any of it, and nobody should.
Scared the shit out of me, but it's awful.
Nobody should take that with any sort of seriousness. Well, Mothman sightings seem to start happening in that area in November of 1966. Mm-hmm. And the most notable sighting that really kind of brought this all into light were two young couples were driving around in what is dubbed the TNT area, which is actually the McClintock Wildlife Management Area nowadays. What this place is, in the 1940s during World War II, the government had bought this huge chunk of land in West Virginia, and they started they put a power plant on it. They started making munitions for the war, and then storing those munitions in these giant concrete bunkers. So when the war ended, they pulled out and left everything there pretty much. And so there are these giant concrete bunkers that you can freely walk around. Well, I mean, you probably shouldn't. It is private property now, but anyway, it's a really neat place that the kids go and hang out because there's nothing else to do in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Mm-hmm. So these two young couples were driving around down there. They had parked their car where the power plant was at the time. It's gone now. And around the side of the building, this man starts walking towards them, and he just looks weird. He's just they can't really make out any details. He's walking strange, and they decide to leave. So as soon as they cut the car back on and the headlights pop on, wings sprout from behind it, and so they take off, and the thing takes off after them, chases them around this area, going upwards of 70 to 90 miles per hour. And the kids then went and told the police about it. The police went and had a press conference. Point Pleasant is a very small town. The police officers believed the kids because they had no reason not to. They were trustworthy individuals. And from the press conference, the whole town caught Mothmania. And people were coming out in droves to try to hunt this thing down. And so, therefore, the sightings kind of ramped up a little bit more. We know now that there were sightings before that point, that it wasn't the first one, it was just the most popular. And then this all kind of concluded. It didn't really conclude, but the way that John Keel wrote the book, The Mothman Prophecies, is that it concluded with the Silver Bridge collapse in December of 1967. So about 13 months. This kind of ended, but it really didn't. Sightings still continued to happen afterwards. John Keel is just a good storyteller. He likes to put a nice little bow on things. He wanted an end to the Mothman saga. He spent a lot of time on it. It took him like 10 years to write Mothman Prophecies. So that's I guess the Cliff Notes version of what happened.
See, I didn't know, and I guess maybe I did and just didn't pay attention, that it took place over a year or so. Like, I just watched a mini 5-minute doc a few minutes ago. I thought like November. I knew it was November that year that it happened with the kids, but I thought like the bridge and the Christmas came up like 6 weeks later. I didn't realize it went on for that long.
Oh yeah, it was a pretty lengthy amount of time, and it was, I mean, it's all anybody talked about for a while. And you had tons of witnesses coming out from the woodwork. That's kind of where the Men in Black got a lot more popularized as well, because they were kind of snooping around the area, or so they seemed to be snooping around the area. So it did take a while for that hype to die down.
What was the tie-in with the Indrid Cold character there?
So 10 days
they really
before,
they really talk a lot about that in the movie. Obviously, it's just kind of he's in the phone.
I felt like it was more about Indrid Cold, which was a terrible way to tell the story, than it was about Mothman. But
yeah.
So 10
I
days.
thought they were one and the same, to be honest.
A lot of people do, yeah. They're not. 10 days before that famous sighting happened with the kids, a gentleman by the name of Woodrow Derenberger was driving home from work. He was driving home to Mineral Wells, West Virginia, from Marietta, Ohio. It's not very far from Point Pleasant. It's about 40 miles away. And on the way home, he was stopped by a spaceship, and a guy gets out, just a regular looking guy, and starts talking to Woody, but he's talking to him telepathically. And he's just kind of explaining like, hey, I'm here. It's cool. I got some questions. When he gets out of the car, he asks him a couple of questions, just basic things. Hey, what's that thing full of lights over there? Oh, it's a city. Oh, we have a city too on our planet. But this whole encounter kicked off a lifelong relationship that Woodrow ended up having with this entity, Indrid Cold. Again, a lot of people assume that they're related because it happened in such close proximity, and also, I mean, right around the time that it was all happening.
Yeah, like on top of each other.
Pretty much. But Indrid, so that's another case that I've investigated to death. I became really close with Tanya Derenberger, Woodrow's daughter, who she says Indrid still came and visited her regularly. She says that Indrid says that he is not involved with the Mothman stuff. He has no idea what that could be. He doesn't, it is he even thinks it's kind of weird. It happened around the time he showed up, but he insists they're unrelated.
That's crazy. Like, what if it was like a bug from his planet, like got smucked in like a box or something? He opened it up to get his food out and it flew out. What was that?
Well, there's people that think that Indrid is like some type of bounty hunter, and he was there to hunt the Mothman. Actually, Gray Barker pushed that idea a lot, that Indrid some type of operative. No, Indrid did have an important job. He did introduce himself as a seeker to Woody. But I mean, all we can do is take the man's word for it. The closest I had was Tanya. Yeah. She says no. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do?
Right. He hasn't called me yet, so when he does, I'll let everybody know what he says. So
that reminds me of when those aliens came down on South Park to tempt him with stealing all the intergalactic gold. It was like how having humans join the Federation. It's kind of like that. He didn't tell him he wasn't a bounty hunter. So it makes you want. It makes you just wonder, like, on things like that. Like, did people, like, he saw him? Did anybody else see him? The injured?
Indrid? Oh yeah,
Or,
absolutely. As a matter of fact, it's such an interesting story. So he ended up getting divorced. Actually, so Woody comes home, tells his wife about it, and then they also have a press conference about this
Damn.
incident that happened. They love press conferences back
Yeah,
in
they
the
don't have a
day.
lot to do they?
No, well, it's 1960s in West Virginia, so not really.
Let's have a press conference.
Right, everybody press conference. So he ends up, of course people don't believe his story. And Indrid had came back again to visit him repeatedly. Tons of people saw a strange gentleman, a couple of strange gentlemen, because it's not just Indrid. He also has there's other people that Indrid brings with him. A lot of people reported seeing strange, just regular men that kind of look a little bit maybe very Italian, maybe Latino, olive skinned, and driving a black Beetle, a Volkswagen Beetle. But his wife,
It's very specific.
it is very specific. He ended up kind of getting super famous. People would like camp out in their bushes and call them all hours of the night, and people were trying to catch a glimpse of this alien guy. And his wife ultimately divorced him, and she said it's not because Indrid's not real. She said it's because me and my kids don't deserve the publicity. We need to separate from this. This is too much. So I mean, she maintained that it was a true story.
Yeah, you don't think about that aspect of getting involved with something like that. Like, to me, it sounds like it'd be amazing to have seen it and experienced. You don't realize everybody thinks you're crazy, no matter
Everybody
what.
thinks you're nuts. And he did get a psychological evaluation. The psychiatrist said that he's clear and good, he's of sound mind, but also not just that, he knows Indrid is real. He knew Indrid was real because Indrid had telepathically spoken to him. So pretty interesting to put your whole job on the line as a respected individual, just to back some random hillbilly in West Virginia.
So he actually had an experience as well. The guy that examined him.
The psychiatrist, yes, yep, he did.
That's had to be. This is like part of the story. Like I'm asking questions like I don't know what I don't know over here. I'm like what else? Like this is like a whole background of stuff I've never heard.
Well, there's a lot to it. I mean, there's a reason why, you only get a chunk of the Mothman lore. And in the Indrid case is, it's a lot, but it's just a whole different, it's not necessarily involved, but kind of involved. You had a lot of weird stuff happening at that time in that general area. And I like to call it the Ohio River area.
Very skinwalkery.
Well, I mean, Ryan knows about that, but
yeah, well, I mean, just like stuff. It's like a thin veil right there. Stuff happening.
It's very strange. I mean, that was the whole appeal. I mean, that's why John Keel went to, because John Keel was a journalist in New York, and he had been watching that area because they had been having a ton of UFO sightings, and so that's what drew him to begin with were the UFOs. Then the story broke about these kids being chased by this thing, and he went down there and couldn't get away for a while. So,
well, how far is that from Wright-Patterson?
It's about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours.
And so it's right. I've looked at this before. I'm trying to think, because they could be maybe possibly military experiments or anything like that. But
that was my initial theory personally.
Yeah.
I'm in Dayton, Ohio, so Wright-Pat is.
That's what I was thinking. You're close.
Yeah, certainly. One of those things I've kind of grown up with knowing, is that it's a weird place. With the Indrid story, representatives from Wright-Pat did come down to talk to Woodard Ehrenberger. They said, "Look, we believe you. We just want to know what you know." And he gave his story to them. They never really got involved any further. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. And they sent the Men in Black.
And they sent the Men in Black. Yeah.
Were they the typical Men in Black? Were they like the guys from Fringe, Men in Black with the white skin and the hats?
I have no idea what Fringe is.
Well, you should watch that show. You'd really like it.
Ask Ryan. I've never seen anything really. I'm that person.
Yeah, you've seen Fringe, haven't you, Ryan?
Yeah.
You've seen Fringe, haven't you? But
for sure.
Basically on Fringe, the Men in Black are just porcelain skin, wearing a suit and a black hat.
They were kind of creepy looking too.
The Watchers.
So
Mhm.
these Men in Black were more like, actually, it's a lot of debate. Keel said that they were more like Mexicans. I mean, really, Latin Americans, for lack of a better term. So they weren't really creepy. They were just ethnic and generally in the area, and you didn't really have a lot of ethnic groups in that area. Now, granted, John Keel, well, was a white man in the 1960s. He probably just assumed that every person of color was a Men in Black. I don't know.
Could have been just
Um,
like an interpretation. There's black men over there. That was
right, exactly. It could be
a bunch of
that some of
Italians.
right, bunch of Italians, but probably some of them, I'm sure, do look that way. Indrid looks that way. Indrid looks very ethnic. He's not a white guy, like a lot of people think. So, I mean, maybe there is something to that. I
Mhm.
don't know. Maybe Indrid himself was a Men in Black. I don't know.
Could be anything,
Yeah.
honestly. Like you don't know what's going on with that being that kind of area. Sparsely populated. Not exactly a lot of rocket scientists running around.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little bit of Millabish. I mean, Fort Belvoir had that Mount Vernon monster pop out of it. So yeah, I mean, 2 hours from Wright Patterson.
Hey.
Anything's up in the air. I live next to and work on the base where they brought Warner von Braun. So I'm not a stranger to any of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't subscribe to that now,
Yeah.
just because I know what I know, and this winged humanoid thing's been around since before the government has. But I mean, it was certainly something I can very easily see how somebody could assume that.
Hmm.
They do weird stuff on those bases.
Oh yeah. Wild Tree says he always thought the Asians seen during the Mothman incident were just tourists.
Yeah, well, I mean,
What if that's what it was?
I agree. I think it's really silly. He would make a big deal about these people that were working on the phone lines. Keel was convinced that his phone was tapped and he was kind of being like messed with from these Men in Black. So he would see people that were, ethnic working on phone lines and assume that that's what was happening.
Hmm.
Um, and really, they're just probably general contractors working on the phone lines,
Putting in your infrastructure, you weirdo. Calm down.
right?
I mean, what sightings, what happened with sighting wise that would possibly trigger, looking back, hindsight's 2020, was there any sightings that led to that were warnings of the bridge that people just read wrong?
No, the Mothman was never even seen at the bridge. It wasn't even mostly
Oh,
seen in West Virginia. As a matter of fact, more sightings were seen in Ohio
oh,
than Point Pleasant. It's not specific to just that town. So yeah, I mean, it's just again the only that bridge theory didn't even exist until Keel released the Mothman prophecies. Um,
well, I feel
the bridge
sheepish.
the bridge collapsed because it was built wrong. It was
Yeah,
poorly constructed, and so that's just happens to be again, he made that connection and people just ran with it.
very convenient for him.
Oh
Never
yeah,
waste a tragedy. Never waste a tragedy.
absolutely. He's an opportunist, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, he did a good job. I mean, he got that movie. That movie used to scare the shit out of me in college. I'd watch it in my dorm. I'm not my dorm, my apartment, and I don't even really know what was scary about it. Looking back,
I mean, I'll be honest with you, still get very nervous every time I cross the bridge from Ohio into West Virginia.
oh yeah,
So
a little bit of history there.
just a little bit. I mean, it's a different bridge in a slightly different location, but still, I know that there are people that died during that are still in the water. And that
Really?
sucks. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Was it? Didn't he have a scene in that movie to where he lost time? Like he thought he drove 4 hours, but he ended up right back where he started.
Probably. I
Yeah,
haven't
I
watched
need
it
to
in a
go.
really long time, so
Yeah,
I
me too. I need to
probably.
find that tape. I said tape by the way because I had it on tape.
It's a Christmas movie.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like Die Hard.
It's almost that time, yeah.
Yep. Let's see. What else don't I know about Mothman? Yeah. I didn't realize it wasn't tied to the bridge like that. I thought it was foregone conclusion.
Don't feel bad. Everybody
Yeah.
everybody is always shocked to learn.
Yeah. Now, how many more Mothman people? Like, is there like a group you're in that has more people that know more things? I can have a consortium.
I mean, there
Oh,
are other Mothman people, yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Now I want to talk more about the Mothman.
Yeah, there's tons of, and I mean, they'll tell you the same thing. I mean,
Mhm.
essentially, it's not related to the bridge. There's more Mothman sightings, yada yada yada. But yeah, there's definitely people out there. We'll talk outside of the show.
Yeah, I mean, was it all like they just see him and he swoops down, or did anybody just see him?
Both. So Connie Carpenter, who also had a Men in Black sighting, she just saw him
Mhm.
hanging out perched on a tree while she was riding the school bus. Other people have seen him just hanging out. The one guy, where the name comes from, one guy, his report, he said that he saw Batman on his roof.
Mhm.
And he, called in. And so the media kind of ran with that. And instead of saying Batman, they called him Mothman. He doesn't look anything like an insect. When I saw it, it was in a room, in a living room, inside of the room.
You
I
saw
mean,
it?
yeah, I saw the Mothman in
Oh,
2016.
I did not know that.
I did. I
What?
did. I
Should have led
did.
with that.
I
What
did.
was what happened there? I need to hear that story. I'm officially
It's
sidetracked.
It's really simple. I was at my friend's house. It was about between 2, 3 a.m. We were going to bed. We had partook in some adult festivities. We made pot brownies, and
Ooh.
I was not somebody that was unfamiliar with using them. That's for sure. But I started kind of freaking out, and something that you do when you're really high and you're freaking out is you kind of pick a spot to focus in the room.
Mhm.
And she had this big TV cabinet in the corner, and I kind of picked the space between the top of the cabinet and the ceiling, and all of a sudden this thing starts forming in the corner of the room. There was like a head at first. Then there were like arms that were like reaching out over top of like the ceiling, but then
Mm.
they started coming like downwards, like, and I realized they're not arms, they're wings. At that point, I left the room. We went and I woke my
Understandable.
friend up, and I didn't tell her what I saw. I didn't tell her what happened. At that point in my life, I didn't believe in the Mothman or and anything that was even remotely kind of woo. I was very much a skeptic, very much a scientific person. I didn't concern myself with that type of stuff. Um, and I didn't even really realize that's what happened until 2021 when somebody told me a very similar sighting that they had. And it was just like, oh, memory unlocked. I saw that thing. And then from there, it just kind of makes sense. Mothman sightings are very personal events.
Mhm.
They change people completely. I mean, it changes your life. And I don't, it's not like you see it and you're like, oh, everything I ever knew is wrong. I mean, it's more like things start to actively happen within your life that change the whole thing. And so now that I know what I know that that's what I saw.
Was there any like an events following it, like harbinger of doom?
I mean, I had a lot of changes happen, but not bad changes.
Okay.
As a matter
Yep.
of fact, they were really positive changes initially. I ended up getting a cool new job. Working as a marketing specialist for Victoria's Secret. Life was pretty okay for a very long time, and I really didn't get into this stuff until about 2019. So it was good. It was all good things.
That not exactly leading you in a negative direction.
No, not at all.
Maybe that
I
maybe
mean,
it just means change. I don't know.
well, and that's the thing about change is that I'll, sometimes when change happens for people, it has to happen because something negative happens. So you're not going to change without a huge impact
Hmm.
on your life. And so I think that in some cases with the Mothman, maybe they saw it, maybe things seemed to go to shit, but maybe they went to shit because they had to before they could become better. And that just sort of tracks with these people and their whole life and just how it continues on. They're very large changes that end up being good things. I mean, as a matter of fact, if you want to connect the bridge at all, the Silver Bridge collapse was a huge deal, and how we understand architecture and how we build bridges going forward, how we maintain them. So even though it was a tragic event,
Hmm.
it certainly made an impact on the way that we look at these things today in a good
I
way.
have heard that before about how the bridge was the way it was put together was shoddy, and they had to go back to the drawing board on that particular design.
It's crazy how, yeah, I mean, it's crazy how long it lasted, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
So,
I've seen a couple of documentaries on it, like just didn't even look like a bridge in some places. It was pieced
Yeah.
together in welds.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Oh, Lee said that listener Lee said that Mothman ruined his life. Wow.
Wow.
Let me write Lee's name down to have him on next.
Yeah.
He or her.
Give it time, Lee.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the Mothman that ruined your life. I think it's changes that you needed to have happen, and just kind of rolling with those changes is very important.
I can track with that theory right there though, because I've had some crappy years in the past 10, and just like the stuff is ramped up good after that. Like it
But
had
you
to
don't
happen.
change
Like
it. You're like,
you're not
oh,
gonna fix something that's not broke.
right. You're like, well, yeah, those terrible things happen to me, but typically when you come out the other side of it, you wouldn't change it for the world. Yeah.
He said, "How about the Bunny Man? You ever heard the Bunny Man Bridge over in Maryland with a killer?"
I've heard of it. I think
Yeah.
is it legit, or is it just like an urban legend, like a crybaby bridge, but with a bunny?
No, I tried. Well, I think it was like a killer that got loose and dressed in a bunny. It could be. It's probably not real. I used to have a coworker that was from Maryland that would talk about it all the time. The Bunny Man Bridge.
It's a movie.
Mm-hmm. My kids get a picture with the Bunny Man once a year. Blood and everything. I'm scared, Dad. What do you think, Ryan? Is the Bunny Man? Bunny Man, was it an urban legend or is it real? I can't remember.
I think it's a little bit of both, really. I think there was a killer that was running around like that for a bit, and it just kind of added that whole paranormal twist where he keeps coming back, like Michael Myers.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's. Sorry, I was reading this comment from Lee right when you were saying that. It does have a lot of Michael Myers. Yeah, man, it is some bad luck there. Born with a hole in his heart. I hope your son's okay now. I know a couple of people from back home that had the same issue when they were born, and they're playing basketball. So hopefully they made a recovery.
I mean, could that be psychosomatic though? I mean, actually, you'd be more of a pro on this, but do people convince themselves that bad things happen, especially after Mothman sightings?
Well, I mean,
those are pretty bad things, though. But
those are pretty bad things. I'm not going to sit here and pick apart somebody's trauma. I would have to know the circumstances surrounding said trauma. Some of it seems like they're very hard lessons to learn. As a domestic abuse survivor, I mean, beatings for sure. I mean, that's one thing, right? I personally in an abusive relationship because of things that I needed to work on myself in order to get away from it. So ramping up that violence would make sense. Again, I'm not going to sit here and try to psychoanalyze somebody I don't know. It's not fair.
Fair enough.
We would have to talk more in depth, and I have with a lot of these witnesses. We've certainly talked a lot more in depth. For the first couple of years after my Mothman sighting, had a very good run at life. As a matter of fact, I probably would say that I've hit my peak, and I think it's kind of hard to believe that I'm ever going to find that again. But
you never know. It happened.
It can. But I ended
that's
up.
Good news. That's good news.
Oh, good. Thank God.
Yeah.
But
really bad for a second. I'll be totally honest with you.
Well, I mean, that's not a good circumstance. But
we're glad it worked out. Yeah.
I certainly had a fall from grace, and maybe I wouldn't have had such a hard fall from grace had I not had some of the best years of my life right before that point. I had a very traumatizing start to 2020, and I know a lot of people did, but this predates that. So I mean, at that point in my life, it was hard to just live every single day. I really struggled with everything going on. But even though I'm still not quite where I'd want to be in life, I'm definitely on a better track because I've learned a lot.
Yeah, that's I didn't have anything like traumatizing. I had an awful job that I took to get experience in a particular field, and it was just like one of those toxic kind of work environments where they didn't understand that you had a life outside of work, and I ended up getting like a miracle job after that. So yeah, it's a weird thing to have to get knocked down and get brought back up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wasn't anything like a beating or like that, but yeah, it's still like a year and a half at a bad job it's equivalent to at least one beating.
I'd say at least 5, but
you got to give me one beating coupon.
It'll drain you though. Well, trauma's
Yeah.
different for everybody. You know what I mean? You make up your own what you decide is bad and what's not. So, you know.
Definitely gonna get Lee on the show. I'm not gonna say a cool story, but yeah, it needs to be out there.
Absolutely. Sounds like they're more than happy to talk about it. And I'd be more than
Mhm.
happy to talk with Lee personally if they would like to about their experience.
Yeah, someone posted when I posted this episode that Lee would like to hear about it. I'm like, I don't know who Lee is, but I'm like, okay. I
All
found out
right.
who Lee is. The mystery
Now we
Lee.
know.
There's Lee. Like that old B. Arthur movie. And then there's Lee. Then there's Maud. Well, all right, Ryan, what did you want to talk about? You showed up, didn't RSVP. I didn't buy enough cake for everybody. So
Hey man, I'm content to just sit and listen. To be honest
yeah,
with you.
my mind, I'm not blanking out and like having awkward pauses. My mind, like I'm sitting on Santa's lap and I'm trying to remember. I just don't want a football and like a Monopoly game. I'm trying to think about everything else, like a Lego set. I want the Darth Maul Lego set.
Hey, I want one of those. Come on
We
now.
were selling Mothman Lego sets at the Mothman Festival this weekend.
Really?
Oh,
They sure were.
did you get me one, Ashley?
Of course I didn't.
Yeah.
That's it, Bobby Booter.
Bobby Booter.
Yep,
That's my alter
Booter does
ego.
it.
That was his nickname in high school.
Booter Dizzle. Scooter Pooter.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
man, if you got
crazy because
questions,
I follow Ashley kind of moderately on the internet, so I see all the stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna ask all kinds of cool stuff, and now I can't think of any of it.
Oh yeah, you stalker too, huh?
That's what happens.
Not much of a stalker; it just appears on the thing there. I see the Wednesdays we talk weird come up, and I'll click on it every so often.
Now, see, I stalk her. I stalk her openly too. So
He does. He's
Yeah,
outside
the
right
house.
now stalking me. It's
I'm in the bushes somewhere. So you know, it's okay.
let's see. I'm waving.
But shh, don't tell anybody else.
I didn't realize it till afterwards. Like you were in Arizona and she was in Ohio. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, we're far away.
Yep.
You should move closer and ruin the relationship. You should see each other every day and hate each other. Come on.
Well, she just likes me every day anyway. So
have that have that trauma in your life back. Have a nice in-person relationship.
maybe you should have Lee come up here. I mean, Lee had some experiences here.
He was in the car. This is what live shows get me. I start realizing I'm not on the show and start reading comments.
Sounds like Lee has a story to tell.
Yeah, he does. It always happens. One time I had somebody come in here with me in Wild Trees and tell us we were both gay, and he ended up on the show the next week. He's like a friend of the show. He's like a friend of the show now. He's just some crazy kid.
That's
like,
funny.
you two are gay. I'm like, no, we're not. Come on the show. Turned out he was like a punk rocker from Texas.
Nice.
We'll unpack this all together.
Yeah. Come on, man. You're the one with the face tattoos. Don't look at me. Dude had face tattoos all over his face.
Let's say
Really?
insert here.
So you're the one's been to prison, buddy.
But
Oh yeah. So actually, where are you at on the Bigfoot story? The Bigfoot thing.
Just what do you mean? Just in general? Am I involved in Bigfoot?
Yeah. What do you think about it? Real, not real, paranormal, flesh and blood?
Bigfoot's how I got interested in all this. Initially, Bigfoot's. I saw the Patterson Gimlin film when I was preteen, and I mean, it stole my heart. Being in Ohio, we have tons of Bigfoot sightings. One of the top states for Bigfoot sightings. So yeah, I think it's absolutely
the Minerva monster.
We have the Minerva monster, the grass span. I think those are two big names. It's been the hairy man sometimes, depending on the publication. But yeah, it's a hot spot for it.
Illinois and Indiana are crazy infested with people who are into that and have seen it. So it wouldn't shock me that Ohio wasn't, because essentially the same area.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've got the famous Ohio Howl, as in Salt Fork State Park. I mean, it's really, it's all up and down the east side of Ohio, really. So it's covered. I mean, it's a very rural area. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's out there for sure.
I'm trying to remember who I talked to that was just below Dayton and had such a bad time with Bigfoot. I can't remember who it was. I've talked to so many of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But the lady over there at Massillon that I know, her son was got to be obsessed with Bigfoot. And he even dresses up like Bigfoot for their town events and cookouts, just as like a mascot, you know. And
Yeah.
you may have heard of him, but they went over to Minerva, ride down the dirt roads, playing the app with the Sierra sounds on it and the whoops and the howls. And they were stopped. And she told him, he said, turn that app off. We're trying to listen. And he goes, the app has been off for 5 minutes. And so she was hearing a whoop and a whoop, you know, and was just going nuts in the Sierra
Very
sound.
cool.
She goes, I was hearing everything. She goes, I thought it was that app. And they said, we got the hell out of there.
Oh yeah,
That's
I would
awesome.
too.
Started hearing the wah 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 wah.
That's very cool.
That was and then that's the first time I heard about the Minerva monster.
Yeah, it's
like,
not
really?
one that's talked about a lot. A lot of people refer to it as the Grass Man.
Mhm.
You know, they talk about Salt Fork. Salt Fork has a huge Bigfoot festival every year, but not a lot of people really talk about that area in particular. But they should.
Definitely.
What do you think about the Bob Hieronymus? You know how he walks. I don't really buy that. That's how he walks. He just looks like an old man with arthritis.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, he's a liar. I mean, it's that
Definitely.
basic. He's a liar.
Here's the deal with me and Patterson Gimlin. I never really put a lot of stock in it. I think it's a good example of like the look, you know, with the hands. But like if that, to me, that being real or not isn't something that would affect my opinion on it.
So
Even though I feel like it is.
I have an ongoing reward. I'm offering reward money for anybody that can replicate the Patterson Gimlin film with material that we had at the time. Nobody's ever taken me up on it. When Bob Hieronymus came out and he got together with, I think it was Discovery, and got together with
I watched
Discovery.
that today again.
Yeah, and you know, they tried to recreate it. They did a terrible job. It looks nothing like it. So, you know, with even TV money, they couldn't recreate the suit, the walk, the video.
Yes, Stan Winston had a hard time actually copying that too.
Nobody's been able to.
Well,
What makes me mad about it,
though, with Stan Winston though, for
Yeah.
him to say, you know, I can't recreate this, that's a really, really big thing.
Right, nobody can.
what makes me mad about Bob Hieronymus is they'll show him walk and like it's supposed to walk just like how Bigfoot walks. Well, the motherfucker has 50 years to practice.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And like, of course he does his arm like this and walks like this. I mean, the dude's been practicing this for that long. My papa walked like that.
Right.
He wasn't Bigfoot, far as I know.
Yep.
He walked like an old man with bad hips. And slung his out. No, what he did, you know how in the Patterson Gimlin film, the famous thing is he kicked his leg all the way back up almost,
Mm-hmm.
where you see the bottom of his foot completely flat.
Yeah.
Well, Bob Hieronymus doesn't do that, but what he does do is like leans over and slings his arm with his hands cupped. That's his thing.
Well, since
Right.
we're talking about that
And he-
film, what do you guys make of the M.K. Davis theory that there was a massacre at Bluff Creek that day?
That's bullshit too.
Yeah, I agree. I have a lot to say about that. So,
Massacre at Bluff Creek.
have you not heard that?
I've heard rumbling of it. I don't know many details. You can tell me about it.
That's not even
Okay.
worth looking into, but I'll let Ryan take it away.
Yeah, he has a good time. Poor little
All right,
fella.
so M.K. Davis, he's someone who's been looking into the PG film a lot. For some reason, he believes that there was a massacre that Patterson and Gimlin did not only film Bigfoot, but they killed a family of Bigfoot that day. And if you actually watch his videos, it almost makes sense until he gets down to the details, okay? What he's doing is he's taking the old footage and he's just really putting a lot of contrast to it. And you know how film is. When you put contrast to anything, it brightens anything up. And, well, you know,
So it
Patty
starts
was
scary.
seen, yeah, it was, you know, she was seen in October. That's the fall, almost winter. So the leaves were already a bright orange and a bright red. You take contrast and you kick it up, it looks like a fire, okay? And he's been making that his selling point, and it's just like, do you not realize you're using over contrast? You know, you're pretty much accusing these men of butchering Bigfoot when they never did such thing.
It basically just makes shapes appear out of nothing.
Yeah, it's like pareidolia. Yeah, exactly like that.
Like when you take a Instagram filter and just go all the way to one end or the other.
Right. And so what he's doing too, though, is he's saying that like the little pool of mud that you see in the video, that's actually blood. But California has red clay. All right. So red clay, when it gets wet, it's a brownish red, which, would look like blood if you kicked up the contrast to it.
Yeah, that's a bit of a reach.
It is. And I just think it's really disrespectful. I think it's somebody trying to make a name off of Patterson and Gimlin. And it's like, why do this? They had such a wholesome image in the Bigfoot community. Why piss like that? That's just not appropriate.
That's one of those things karma gets you for.
Oh yeah. Karma will knock on his door for that for sure, and he'll probably be upset if he hears the show and hears my opinion. But hey, MK, come for me, dude.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of. I'd like to have him on here just for the likes, but yeah, I'll take the clout. I have no shame.
Same here.
What I was kind of thinking when you said that was I was thinking of the Mount St. Helens.
Oh,
bodies. Yeah, I got them mixed up in my mind.
Yeah,
I wonder if that one's real. I wonder if that actually happened, like the massacre, not massacre, but I guess they died in the fire of the volcano.
I mean, that's possible. I could definitely see that happening. Sure, absolutely.
Lee was given producer's number to call about putting children's UFO movie in action. I would do it.
Lee, just make sure that they actually cover your story accurately. They don't add their own little 2 cents here and there.
You know what? Circling back, like Jen Psaki, what's his name? Woodrow, Indrid Cole's witness.
Yeah,
Indrid
Woodrow.
Cole's witness. I said Cole. Don't hurt me. It's years of bad habit. It reminded me a lot of the family from Close Encounters, how they left after Richard Dreyfuss went nuts.
The
She got in the
Spielberg
car
movie?
and bounced. Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Oh my god.
Ashley, you're fired. You haven't seen any movies.
Close Encounters?
You've never seen it? Yep.
Did you know that?
Really?
Did you know that J. Allen Hynek was in that movie?
I do know that. I didn't know that, but I do know that it is a scene in that movie is based off of the Portage County, Ohio UFO chase.
It would make sense. There's some cool UFO chases in that movie.
Oh yeah.
The cops are chasing it and they just drive off a cliff.
They almost hit the kid.
Yeah. Me being a dad, that fact that kid gets taken away makes me sad every time. I have to get through that part.
Hey man, that whole abduction scene was pretty damn creepy.
Mm-hmm. I know he comes back at the end. He walks back out, and she's like, "Daddy," but God, when he walks off and she can't save him. I'm like, come on now. I'd rather see a dog get eaten by a shark.
Oh, yeah, no.
Pip-it. That's from a movie called Jaws, Ashley. I don't know if it's it's a famous.
Nope, never seen it. Never seen Jaws.
What? We are no longer friends.
Bob Saget.
I didn't know we were friends to begin with, Ryan. Jeez, that's news to me.
Oh, wow.
Jesus. Newsflash. Right.
Apparently, I'm just Ryan's friend.
Ryan's friend, Ashley.
Ryan's friend, Ashley.
Well, we were friends, so I found out she didn't see any of these movies. Now that's it. I'm shunning you.
I am a bit concerned.
I've seen Jaws. That was a joke.
What's it about?
It's about a horse, and I'm just kidding.
It's about a yellow cat and a pug-nosed bulldog.
Isn't that the one with the Saint Bernard, right? Jowls, isn't that correct?
Accurate.
With Charles Grodin.
No, I'm very aware of. Yeah, I'm very aware of what Jaws is.
The Steven Spielberg classic Milo and Otis.
Oh, jeez, I know. I've seen Milo and Otis.
That's what's sad. I knew you would.
My maiden name is Milo, so it's
really.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
Like the sweet tea?
No, it's not like the sweet tea. It's Italian, so it's spelled fucked up. But yeah, it's Milo.
Not like the hamburger place here in Alabama?
No.
Now I'm wondering, you know how Louisiana folks spell everything wrong with an E and an A and a U?
It's similar.
That's
yeah.
true.
Milo.
It's Maiolo is what it is, but
Miola.
It was Miola initially, but my grandparents changed it. They dropped the A and made it an O, and then started going by Milo because Well, they were Italian and they were being targeted by people, so they were trying to make it sound more white.
They were the literal Men in Black.
They were. My
I'm just
family.
now finding that out.
Family was the Men in Black. Yeah, the Milo in Black. That's what it is.
No dogs, no Irish. No dogs, no Irish. Let's see what else we got. This is fun. I needed this after last week. I had a guy that had 1 gig internet or one megabit internet speed, and he kept saying it was my stuff.
Oh my goodness!
I spent 4 hours on the call with him because I felt bad.
Ouch! It's a long 4 hours right there, man.
Dude, it was awful. Like he goes, and he kept bragging about how slow his internet was. I'm like, this is not a flex.
Right?
He said, I got 1 megabit per second right now. I'm like, I can tell. I can tell.
Did his voice cut out all robotic like?
Oh, he was 45 seconds behind me.
Oh my goodness.
Yep, it was rough. But luckily, I went on Anthony Instant Player's show on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to get like a month's worth of followers in a day.
Nice.
And so, yeah, so I was just like, thank God. I needed that W so bad. It's like going out and playing a homecoming game.
You're full of analogies today.
Yeah, I mean that's how I'm caffeinated up, man. I'm just I'm like a squawk box. So does that show Wednesdays We Talk Weird? Does it have a YouTube channel? I've looked for it before.
No, I mean it does, but it doesn't. I don't upload to it anymore.
You have to find from the Asherz.
Yeah,
that's on my friend the Asherz channel, but don't listen to it there because it's not updated at all.
You listen to it on Spotify or something?
Yeah, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, whatever you use to listen to podcasts, it's out there. It's the only thing that comes up when you Google it. On Wednesdays We Talk Weird.
Yep.
I think I'm actually subbed to it on one of those. Lee said, was there any Christians that were interviewed that were abducted by aliens?
Oh yeah,
I know
absolutely.
they're Christians now afterwards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I know people that started Christian and were abducted and changed their beliefs after abduction. It's certainly happened, especially in America. I mean, it's predominantly Christian. America.
Fuck yeah. I know Corey Pressler changed after him. I don't know if you ever talked to him or not.
I haven't.
He has got a very traumatizing story, and it was one of those things like he was one of the more mellow ones that had that kind of story with the childhood trauma associated with it. But I stopped wanting to hear about UFO abductions after a couple of them because I'm like, you guys are just having repressed memories. And this is not the right place to talk about it.
Certainly can happen. Absolutely. The gentleman that I know ended up having, it really kind of ruined his life after he had his abduction experience. Ruined his marriage. Everybody thinks he's nuts. He just lives in a tiny town in Ohio. And, now he doesn't fit into his predominantly Christian friends and family. And, because he has this new perspective on things that he didn't really have before. And he doesn't really quite remember everything. And it's a weird thing. You can't really rely on regression therapy so much just because it can be influenced. So it's hard to say if that's a good move or not. And then even if it's not influence and these are legitimate experiences that they're relaying at that time, it could be traumatizing to relearn what you've been through. Usually there's a reason why your brain blocks it out.
Yeah. Or they wipe it from you.
Yeah.
It got to be where everybody I talked to for like a month straight that was a abductee said, like, they say something like, I died as a child and I was molested and my uncle, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, good Lord, this is just getting, I'm becoming more of a psychotherapist than anything. And it has nothing to do with aliens at this point.
Not necessarily. So people that do have strange experiences typically do have a life of either some type of emotional or physical trauma to the brain.
I was noticing that as well. I'm just like, does this correlate or is it the same thing? I don't know.
it changes the way that your brain looks. I mean, we can scan a normal healthy brain and we can scan a traumatized brain, and they're not the same thing. So I don't know why these people tend to have these experiences. I mean, of course, some of it's just delusions. I mean, there is a mental health aspect to it.
Mhm.
Mental illness is real,
Yeah.
and it is hard to pick apart which is which. Which is why we really need more science looking at it, taking these people just with a shred of seriousness rather than just going, "Oh, it's your trauma."
Oh, yeah.
But it's absolutely a trend. You don't get that really with a Bigfoot sighting, and that makes sense because
Mm.
Bigfoot are flesh and blood, but you do get that with things that are kind of just a little bit beyond our natural understanding of the way the world works.
I've only had one person with the Bigfoot thing that was like that, but I think he had actual problems.
Yeah.
And but yeah, he was like, I don't even want to get into it, but he had issues. Like anywhere he went, he said Bigfoot were following him and giving him headaches.
Yeah,
Like, but you live in London.
yeah,
Where
yes.
are they?
That's I would, I mean, honestly, just from that little tiny bit, probably categorize that as somebody with mental health issues.
Yeah,
It
it was
happens.
really sad because the conversation went on for
Yeah.
3 hours, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
And you're like, no, this is all bullshit. You just think this. It's very sad. It is very sad.
and you can't
Um,
tell them that not over a podcast.
and I don't tell them on a podcast, but eventually I'm
No.
like, listen, I try to with my witnesses, I try to get to know their family members. I know that probably sounds weird and kind of stalkerish, but I mean, there's a reason for it. You
Mhm.
need to have other people backing their story and not just them. And then of course their family members can kind of tell you a deeper dive into their mental health, and usually they're very honest and very aware that the person is not
Mhm.
all there. So
Now, you said that Bigfoots are flesh and blood. Do you think they have any kind of aspect like you in your research, any of the dimensional clipping in and out and the mind speak and infrasound?
um well, yes or no. I mean, infrasound is a biological thing. That's a
Yeah,
normal,
tigers do that shit.
right. That's normal. Some of the other stuff, the thing about it is that I think that when people have a woo case of Bigfoot, I think that they think that they're seeing Bigfoot. I think whatever that thing is, it wants you to think it's Bigfoot, but it's not actually Bigfoot.
That could definitely be it,
I think it's
like a
something
projected
else.
tulpa.
I think it's something else entirely, and that's just it's making you think that it's Bigfoot. But I
I
think
would be
Bigfoot
cool with that
itself,
explanation.
I think Bigfoot itself is flesh and blood. I think there's just an undiscovered species of ape. I don't think it's as large as people claim. There's no 15-foot tall Bigfoot. We would have found it by now.
Hmm.
Patty, the Patterson Gimlin film. I mean, we know how tall she was. She was just under 7 feet. She wasn't that big. She was big, but she wasn't that big.
Hmm.
And people are notoriously bad at measuring things anyway. That's why there are measurements at the doors of gas stations because
Yeah,
we're bad at that stuff. So I think both two things can be true.
I haven't like the ones I've talked to who I know aren't lying about it. They all say they're physical, and then they always have like when they're here, and they like a couple of people I know have seen one disappear, which is crazy in and of
Yeah.
itself.
And in that case, I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes I think it could be that they're just stealthy and they
Yeah.
appear to disappear. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Um,
it's totally logical, totally explainable.
Right. I mean, I think it's just that you kind of blink and you miss it, or you're just kind of freaking out. You don't really know what's going on. You get caught up in the excitement, and then next thing you know, it's gone. As far as it actually disappearing, I mean, again, if that is happening, if you were seeing it dissipate into the wind, I think that whatever it is you're seeing is not actually what you think you're seeing. It's not Bigfoot. It's something else.
Yeah, it could be something masquerading, like demonic kind of
Absolutely. I don't think it's demonic. I've been talking to a lot of actually demonologists and demonic folklore. I have had a demonologist on the show lately,
really.
a demonic folklorist. I have, and they both are very much in the camp that there are people that study demonology their entire life that never ever ever come across one. It's very 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 rare.
Yeah.
Very,
It
and these
seems
are
like
people
they
that work for the church. I mean, this isn't like people that don't
mhm.
believe in that stuff. They work for the church and they say that. Yeah, it
It
doesn't
seems like
happen
it's
a
fun
lot.
to say it's a demon
It's
when it's
very
just something
popular.
just kind of angry.
It's very popular. Well, right, you can have angry. Other
Mhm.
things can be angry and mean. I mean, there's some really bad humans out there. It doesn't mean they're demons. They're just humans
Yeah.
doing really bad shit. And it happens.
And if you die an asshole, you're going to be an asshole when you're dead.
Exactly. You know, so I mean,
Everybody
different.
says that particular thing there.
Right. I mean, you know, it's not necessarily demonic. Demons are very rare. They're not just kind of waiting for you around every corner, for, you know, to
Yeah, like
experience
a
you.
venomous snake under a log.
Right. You know, they're busy. I don't know what they do. I ask the people in my shows, I'm like, what do you think demons do when they're not terrorizing humans? And they're like, well, I don't know. But I don't think they're here.
It seems like a waste of demons to be a demon if you're just everywhere.
Yes, it
In every
does.
dark old house you're hanging out. Like, that's kind of boring.
Well, and I would think that would be more at risk. I mean, demons are supposed to be like super horrifying and terrifying and do these terrible things to you. And I mean, they don't really seem to kill a bunch of people all the time, or yeah, we're not really at risk of demons constantly.
It seems like it's more of just regular spirits that haunt people, follow them home
Yeah.
with the shadow people, hitchhiker effect.
You know, and I challenge that constantly. You know, I've go to these horrible places, and you know, people are like, oh, you shouldn't talk about. It's like when people say you shouldn't say skinwalker. I'll say it all day, skinwalker, skinwalker. I'm not afraid of saying it. I've said it hundreds of times. Nothing's ever happened.
Yeah.
You know, and
I
so
didn't
you
know
can
that was
kind
a
of,
thing.
yeah, you can kind of easily prove it wrong. You know,
I had like 2 or 3 people on here. I said it, and they're like, "Don't say that." I'm like, "Oh shit, what?"
say skinwalker. Don't say Wendigo. Ryan knows all about that. So, but yeah, that's
Mine
what they
isn't
say.
Wendigo.
Ryan is, yes, he is a Wendigo. True.
Don't tell everybody.
He has
Ryan whistles in the woods at night.
He has insatiable
All the
hunger.
time. That part is
Have
true.
you seen the guy on TikTok that saw the eyes on top of his house and the rib cage on top of his house?
What?
Yes. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
claiming he's a dog man, though. It's, I don't know. I'll have to show it to you, Ashley, but he claims he has dog man on his territory and his property.
Yeah.
These things are climbing his roof and tormenting he and his wife.
At one point, there's a deer carcass on top of his roof.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting footage, but I think ultimately he's just, he's focusing it for clicks.
Yeah, what got me is when he got popular enough and he said, "Unfortunately, folks, we're going to have to make this a paid platform." Like, are you?
Yep.
How
you got to be
convenient.
careful with guys like that, man. So
it's kind of wild at first because it was eye shine like textbook.
But that's really easy to recreate, though. Everybody thinks it's impossible to do, and it's really not. They sell glasses out there that you can recreate that stuff with.
Yeah, and they sell these little things you can put on trees to lead your way to your hunting spot that looks just like it too.
Yep, they absolutely do.
Yeah, I just think it's fun. It's a it's a what's the word? It's just like trash to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I'll take anything. I believe everything anybody ever says ever. And I'll have to talk to I talk to people who are normal in life that have regular feelings and regular thoughts, and they're like, that's bullshit. I'm like, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you can't just discount everybody right away. You do have to listen to the story and look into it a bit more before you either buy it or dismiss it.
Like, I accept it all. Like, tell me it all. And then I'll 2 days later, I'll be walking down the street. I'm like, wait a minute. Did she say she flew a UFO?
Your mind's so open, your brains are leaking out, huh?
It is. I mean, just in this aspect, like paranormal, I love it. I take any of it, and I'll take it just like all the paranormal. I don't know. That's just I've always been that way since I was a kid. I just believe everything, and my people are like, that's kind of dumb. You shouldn't believe that.
Certain things. We all start out
not everything.
So we you really start looking into stuff personally, then everything changes.
Yeah, I never grew out of it.
No, you might one day.
I'll just sit here and hear people tell me stories and I believe it, and I walk outside of my room like, wait a minute, that wasn't true at all.
That's all right.
Kind of like that one guy told me he saw a 6-foot tall hyena. I was like, he must be on some peyote.
Who are you talking about, Ryan?
I was. I mean, he was. He was. Totally not.
He was
totally not
smoking peyote, cactus juice.
It wasn't peyote, man. It was Mad Dog 2020. Come on.
Big if true.
Jesus.
That really happened though. Like, you saw a hyena. That's insane.
Yeah, I did. Indeed.
That's still one of the better ones I've heard so far.
Yeah, well, that definitely happens. So,
yeah, liar. I don't believe anything. I'm just kidding. But yeah, this one lady I talked to, she's just north of me in Tennessee. She saw a cat that tall.
Ooh,
that had human breasts and human arms. Yeah, and it was whistling.
Cat person, huh?
It had like a head of hair, but it was like she called it a wampus cat.
Hmm.
And like the dogs weren't scared of it. Dogs came up, she's petting the dogs, and she's whistling.
Wow,
The
that
cat,
almost sounds more like an alien than something else.
the cat was petting the dogs. The cat woman.
Mhm. Yeah, the cat didn't. The dogs weren't scared of the cat. She was whistling, and she walked up. She's like 6 feet tall. Had human
Cats and
breasts. Had
dogs getting
hair.
along with each other.
Cat
Oh
head.
boy.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that the Ghostbusters thing? Cats
Yeah,
and dogs.
I was just going to quote that actually. Good thing you caught
Yeah.
on to that, Bobby. Thank you.
I'm ahead of you. You get a
You
pretty
are.
early to beat Bobby Dizzle to a pun.
I know
Mhm.
Ghostbusters.
Here, let me.
I don't know a lot, but I know Ghostbusters.
I'm going to share the screen here. When I was talking to her, and I haven't aired the episode with her yet. She's pretty cool. I just talked to her last night again. But oh no, we're not on Facebook. But here's the closest thing. Like I was showing it to her. Here, stand by. See this right here?
Oh, okay.
Looked a lot like that.
Well, yeah,
Like-
Wampus Cat is a thing. I mean, it's been around since white
It's
people
Native
have
American.
been here. Yeah,
Yeah.
White people.
since white
hate
people.
white
You just
people.
don't hear a lot about it anymore. This is interesting.
Yeah, but like it was crazy when she talked about it. Like it was real. And she has one of those places that she sees Bigfoot on a lot.
Okay.
So there could be like a thin veil or a portal somewhere.
Hmm.
Maybe a Puckwudgie. I think that's the best picture. I think that's the one she said looked the most like it. Not 100%.
Kind of reminds
But
me of
she
the
had-
guy from Labyrinth.
Yeah. He said she had like a human ankle, but the ankle went to a cat foot.
Hmm.
And that's your Rebel says a skinwalker. Did I
Yeah,
stop
no,
sharing?
that's definitely not a skinwalker.
Wendell said he found a deer hide and rod and reel lake in the woods. Oh,
Hmm.
somebody was just fishing for deer, didn't throw it back.
Yeah, those deer fish.
That's a very specific. I found a deer hide and a rod and reel in a lake in the woods. Okay,
They certainly could have been trying to use deer as bait, I guess.
Yeah,
or
that's
found,
actually really common back east in New England.
found a hide and just forgot to take it with them and left. Decided not to take it. I don't know.
Hmm.
well, or maybe they just got there separately.
Two different instances.
Yeah,
Possibly.
Yeah, sure. Could have been
I'll tell you
Bigfoot. I don't know.
yeah. I tell you the most annoying thing about being a cryptid enthusiast, and you can probably speak on this a lot more than I can because I don't really do research. I just kind of have fun with it. But like the evidence people produce that's not evidence at all, and they circle it, and they'll send you a sound clip, and it's just like a dog.
Oh yeah, I get that. That's so often.
Yep. Or it's a tree trunk.
Yeah.
No picture.
That
I
really
mean,
depends on the type of skinwalker, though. I mean, in order to become a skinwalker, they have to wear the pelt, and they don't look like humans in animal form. That's not how it goes.
What does the skinwalker look like?
The
Well,
animal.
I mean, yeah, like the animal itself. So say like Yina,
Oh, really?
if a skinwalker wanted to look like a cat, it's going to look like a mountain lion or a cat on all fours. It's not going to be
Well, it's going to look like a straight up real
Yeah,
it's
it's not going to be a bipedal figure that has like human appendages with a cat's head. That's not how they work.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that about that.
They do it to it's to hide. That's how they get around. They're shunned from their tribe, so they just disguise themselves as the animals, so that way they wouldn't be very obvious about if they're trying to use an animal to hide.
A lot of
It's
people mistake the skinwalker as a Yinatadushi and say, "Oh, I ran into one here. I ran into one there." No, you didn't, because they go after the tribesmen. So if you're not Navajo, then they want nothing to do with you.
Skinwalkers are racist.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, they don't like white folk because we really screwed with the Navajo. We really didn't. They're like, screw you guys.
No, Wendell, I wasn't referencing your stuff, Wendell. I was talking. I've seen much worse than anything you've ever posted. Like I'll get pictures of grass and they'll circle it. It's irritating because I spent a lot of time in the woods growing up, and
Yeah.
I mean a lot. And when I see stuff and hear things, and that's stuff I would hear like in my backyard and trees and I'm like, that's not a big, it's not a face. It's a tree
Well,
trunk.
welcome to a world, man. We get all those photos all the time of there's 12 Bigfoot with their babies right here, and it's like, no, it's a bush. Literally.
How do you politely handle it? Like,
Oh, I
You
don't
don't?
politely handle it. I'm a total
you
jerk.
don't.
No, I'll tell them
Just
straight
stare
up.
into
There's
it.
absolutely
Best
nothing
answer
there.
ever.
Yeah, you just tell them, and everybody else is like, "Oh, you just don't believe," and it's like, "I believe this person's a liar."
Yep.
It's
Kind of
not.
like
It's
caught
not any.
standing.
There's no credence given to the whole field if you just accept everything as evidence.
Right,
Exactly.
That'd make you a horrible cop.
Yep.
Yes.
Just take a picture of a
100%.
crime scene and circle it. Well, that's a bullet,
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yep. There's a bullet there.
sir.
Oh, I see him. There's 12 of them.
Yeah, there's
Yep.
12. There's 12 perpetrators in this picture. There's nobody in that picture. Yeah, look, they're behind that table and chair.
It's a
They're
plain
cloaking,
white wall.
man. They're cloaking.
Yeah.
They're cloaking.
Yep.
The only time I've ever I like the cloaking and the paranormal part of Bigfoot. It's just fun for me, whether they do it or not. Whole different thing. But somebody sent me a picture. It said there's a cloaking Bigfoot in it, and I don't know if it was like the best pareidolia in the world, but damn if the limbs didn't look like an outline of a Bigfoot, like a perfect one.
Yeah, but I think people are losing the meaning of cloaking. You know, cloaking means you're invisible. That the naked eye cannot see you. You know, I mean, come on.
They're thinking
we
it's
have
like that
sensors now?
electric looking. They think
Right.
it's like that.
Now we have
electric looking,
sensors that we can pick up cloaked Bigfoot. It's like, what?
Technology has not surpassed the human eye. That's something that
Technology.
people don't really seem to understand. You can't. Your eyes are going to know better than a camera is,
Mhm.
and then your eyes also have the perspective of what's happening immediately before and immediately after. A picture is just a snapshot of that singular second. So just like I said, a lot of people think that if you take a picture you'll see more. You won't, and these types of people that are taking these pictures can't afford the cameras that actually can see more. Nobody
it's
can.
Always an
you know.
iPhone.
Right.
Yes. Right. I mean, they don't have high tech science lab level equipment, out there in the woods.
Mhm.
I was showing Ryan my DSLR. I was like, I can take a picture.
Pretty.
Come on, Bigfoot.
It's pretty nice. It's
Bring
pretty
it
nice.
on, motherfucker. I can't.
But your eyeballs are still going to see better than that camera every time.
Yep.
And picture and video is just it's useless in this community. Do you get excited about them? Sure, I still do, but it doesn't matter. With AI now, there's not a single picture that will prove anything. There's not a single video that will prove anything anymore. It's just not.
That AI is something else.
Yeah.
That stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna need a body on a slab is what we're gonna need.
That's it.
That's never going to happen unless the
I think it will
government only
someday.
achieves technology. It'll take the government's technology meeting that fourth dimension.
I don't know. I'm still convinced
like the
that
movie
one
Jumper?
day it's not going to be a researcher or anything that finds a body. It's just going to be somebody hiking through the woods and bada bing, bada boom, strike some good luck, and there you go.
It depends on what you're talking about. Bigfoot, absolutely. Mothman, no.
Dogman, no.
No. Dogman, no. Depends
what
on
do
the.
you think Dogman is.
I think Dogman is not flesh and blood. It doesn't make biological sense. But I do think that people are seeing something, whatever the hell it is.
Aren't all Dogman encounters abstract as fuck? Like they're always playing poker or doing something crazy.
Playing poker.
Yeah, I swear to God, the one on Skinwalker Ranch, they said that they saw like 3 Dogmen playing poker in the woods.
I didn't know
they disappeared.
that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like legit people.
Interesting.
The whole Dogman thing is just getting more and more nuts as you go along.
It's like the new age Bigfoot.
Sadly, yeah. I mean, it's kind of taking over the whole field, and Bigfoot's being pushed out. But I don't know. I don't think Dogman is natural on flesh and blood. I really don't.
Yeah, it's like Bigfoot's like your grandpa's cryptid.
Pretty
Dogman's
much, yeah.
Like the cool new, like your dad had like a muscle car V8 and you got like a '98 Civic. Ding, 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 like it's a new thing. It's not the same thing.
That's a great Dogman is no cap or whatever the kids say now.
Correct.
Dogman ain't fronting.
Yeah,
is what he is. Know what I'm saying?
For real, for real.
I'm for real, fam. I got you, fam. Yeah, me and Rebel on the screen here, we had a long conversation about Dogman.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he lives up by the Land Between the Lakes with the most famous Dogman encounter.
Yeah.
So we were discussing all the stuff that happened up there.
Oh boy.
What do you think about that one? You've heard that one, hadn't you?
Okay.
Surely.
Oh yeah. We've definitely heard that one, haven't we, Ashley?
Just no, I've never heard of it. I don't know what you're talking about.
A shark that eats a man in Maine.
Yeah, right. And that movie, that one movie was inspired by it, Jaws.
Yeah. The journey,
yeah,
incredible journey.
we've we've heard of it a little bit. I'm very skeptical of the massacre. I'm skeptical of the area in general. But the massacre, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. It's not real. It's not a real story.
I have qualms with it. I have a lot of qualms with it. So
It didn't happen.
I mean, it's not a huge
Jan-
place. I mean, it's not like it stretches out for thousands of miles, and
Jan lied about the DNA. It wasn't possible at the time to have gotten DNA of anything that wasn't real. We weren't even using DNA in forensics in the early 80s. It didn't really happen until the early 90s. She lied. It's a lie.
Well, let me finish my train of thought here, Ashley.
I'm almost done.
Fight.
And it's very unfortunate that people continue to perpetuate the lie that an entire family was massacred by a creature that was hidden by the government. A creature, mind you, that has existed since before the government did. So anyway, I'm done now. Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's not as massive as like some places, or some people would have you think. I mean, we should be able to find something, any kind of evidence from that place. Nothing has been derived just yet. Then you had that guy, I don't even know if I should mention him by name, but he claimed to be a survivor of that massacre. And the more you know about him, the less you believe him. So I don't know. I've
definitely heard of him. I can't remember his name though.
I don't know if I want to say it. I mean,
you don't
if I do, he might flag your channel. So
flag my channel. You can do that.
Yeah, he'll complain to you. That's for sure. He definitely will.
I think
I've heard of that. Yeah, I have heard of that. Dude,
probably something strange happens in that area. I think strange things happen all over the planet. Don't get me wrong. It's just that particular story is not real.
Yeah, that's right. Roger LBL channel. That's kind of shitty if they can do that and complain. Just an opinion.
Well, yeah.
Of course, people have done more with lesser opinions lately anyway.
Yeah.
They sure have.
Who knew the Dogman pissed it? I've never seen a topic that get people riled up more than Dogman. Like the Bigfoot gets people stirred up like a little bit, but the Dogman gets people like fighting in the comments.
Oh yeah, I mean that's ammunition, man. You say one thing they don't agree with, and they're coming at you.
Have you seen the Love, Death, and Robots episode about the werewolves and the Dogman? God, it's so good.
It is. It's amazing.
I don't know what that is, but I would watch that.
Yeah, you need to watch the whole series. It's on Netflix. It's all CGI, but it's really, really good. And one of the episodes is about dogmen / werewolves in Iraq.
Yep.
That fight for the Marines.
It's pretty cool stuff.
And it shows like some guy's wiener that I wasn't ready to see, and they probably didn't be showing. I'm like, why is that on here? This is a cartoon. Somebody had to draw that.
Was it a nice wiener?
I mean, I don't know what mean ones look like, so.
Oh, you'll know a mean wiener when you see it.
It didn't have no teeth. It didn't look like the worm on the Dreamcatcher or anything, but it was.
Shit.
It was a spoiler alert. It was one of the insurgents, one of the Iraqi, guys they were fighting. He transformed into a dog man, didn't have clothes on anymore. I'm like, man, you could have just had it behind the bush. No, you're just going to show it.
Full wiener.
It is. Some guy spent 6 months drawing that son bitch. Just didn't. I'm just
full wang sketching.
Drawing a turban. Here's his turban. Here's his beard. Here's his belly button, and there you go. Bob's your uncle.
Let me make it a little bit bigger. Hold on. That's too big.
Whoever it was really enjoyed his. Really felt out the studio space. If you know what I'm saying. Really just explored his own options.
What's this called? Love, Death, and Robots?
Love, Death, and Robots.
That sounds really cool.
The first episode is really funny because it's three little robots, like it's almost like Toy Story, and they're walking around in post-apocalyptic world. All the humans are dead, and they're like taking a tour of the big cities. Like this used to be the bank and shit like that. And they go into a bar and there's a human there, and he's he's still sitting up, and he crashes his head down.
Actually, yeah, it looks really cool. I'm checking. I'm looking at it. I'm checking it out.
Yeah, it's funny. There's that one. I can't think. There's another one, and I don't know why this was on there. It may be on another channel, but it has Topher Grace in it. And I think they open because the world they open it a freezer, and there's like an ice age going on in there. And they move in this apartment. There's a freezer in there, and they open it up, and there's a little like miniature people like. And they're going through the ice age, and there's little mammoths, and they shut the door and open it up, and it's like 10,000 years later, and they got nuclear weapons.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like that Simpsons episode where Lisa has the bacteria in her room. I think that's the same show. Yeah, but in most of them, everybody's computer animated. It could be a Black Mirror. I don't know. There's three or four Twilight Zone-esque one-off kind of shows on there. I think that's one of them. Matter of fact, I'm gonna look that up.
Sounds really neat.
Topher Grace Ice Age Freezer. Love, Death, and Robots Ice Age. No shit. Okay. Most of them, everything's CGI.
I've been getting into more of the animated stuff lately.
If it's good, it's good. I don't care. I'm honestly. But if it's just animated, like I don't know how I'm going to feel about how stuff's going to be canned in the future with people writing stuff on AI, 10-page.
Yeah.
10-page movie about a werewolf that finds its long lost father or something and just fills it out based on Dancing with Wolves kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's going to become kind of a lost art.
Because AI is just going to be canned. It's only got boundaries of what's already done, so it's not going to come up with a new concept. But it's fun to make your thumbnails with. I'll tell you that. I sit there and just.
I hope they ban it from monetization at minimum. You know what I mean? People shouldn't. We shouldn't monetize AI work. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I think you can use it as a tool. Like to me, it's no different than having a pen that does something fun, or maybe like Clippy. Remember Clippy? Kind of like him. Microsoft Word. Checking your grammar, but just a little bit more complicated. But if you're doing a whole career just on AI, I don't want it.
Yeah, I don't want AI writing storylines.
Because when's the story going to be like, and all the humans die? Wait, what? Don't know if I want to see season 2 of that one.
Every story written by AI ends like that.
Yeah, and humans are enslaved.
Then we act surprised when they take over. Like, okay, well, we never saw this coming.
And we find out their bodily fluids can be used as a fuel source. Wait.
Yeah.
All right, we got Lee. Damn, it's been an hour and a half. This has been fun. I needed this today. I needed like this casual, laid-back conversation. Have another question for each of you. What was the craziest thing you ever saw? Anything paranormal? And we'll start with Tremblay, Mr. I saw the hyenas from Lion King.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen is that dog man.
Like a 3-minute abridged version of that for anybody that's not heard it. It's on my channel. I can't think of which episode it is, but he saw a dog man. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I basically ran into one in my best friend's backyard. So, yeah, that's what opened my eyes to the whole dog man experience, man. It's just
it just kind of stood there. It had a head of a hyena, right?
Yeah, yep. Looked exactly like a hyena would, except it was on 2 legs.
Yeah. I've never really had anything paranormal happen to me. I've had signs from dead grandparents, which I guess is paranormal, but nothing like scary. Like it was just like, oh shit, that's crazy. And I had, I see a lot of angel numbers. That's kind of like my claim to fame paranormal wise. I can pick them out and it kind of guides I can kind of like guide my day and how my day's going to be. And it's pretty accurate.
It's crazy. I got into numerology a couple. I wanted to get into astrology, but it's a lot, and so I opted for numerology instead because I kept seeing angel numbers, repeating
Yeah.
numbers, patterns, and God, it's so eerily accurate.
It happened to me by accident because I was just started noticing this stuff. And it finally just one day after I think probably years, I just Googled it. What does it mean when I see this number? And sure as shit, I mean, it's like that's what happened.
Yeah, it's
Like
crazy.
there's about 3 that I see all the time, and it just the ones I know, I'm like, okay, that means that. That means that. So good.
Yeah, I've got I'm kind of in line with you there. I mean, honestly, the craziest stuff that's happened to me is stuff like that. It's synchronicity and just things that are too much to be coincidence. It's not necessarily physical things that I've seen and experienced. I mean, I've had tons of experiences over the years, but it's it's that kind of stuff that I don't know. It really set your soul on fire. It just feels more important and impactful than anything.
Yeah, like I when I first started like taking it serious, I started testing it. I'm like, do I trust these numbers or not? And a couple times I just trusted them, and sure enough, and they've never let me down.
It's
So
insane. I followed a numerologist on Twitter, and before you could, well, X now, before you could edit your tweets, they were like retweeting stuff that they had shared like the year before, predictions that they had shared, and they were fucking true. And I'm not saying that it's like this general thing will happen. No, like this was very specific,
mhm.
pointed at very specific celebrities depending on their life path numbers and the dates and the things that happen. And it was insane. It was crazy. And I was like, wow, there's something to this. I mean, there is absolutely something in numbers. And the only people that deny it haven't looked far enough into it.
You just gotta pay attention. I don't know how yours fall in line, but mine aren't the 444 and the 222 like some people. Like those are kind of just ones you notice out of the corner of your eye, but mine are
Right.
just like
I'm going to
specific, like
interrupt real
58.
quick. I'm going to go ahead and jump on down. My dog's doing his little pee pee dance. So,
Okay, have fun. Yeah,
all
we're
right.
about to wrap up anyway, man. Thanks for coming on.
All right. No problem, man. Take it easy.
See ya. Well, he's a good guy. We have fun.
He's all right. I guess I'll keep him a while.
What a kid, good parents. Yeah. The funny thing about my angel number, my main one, is it's in both my grandparents' sets of grandparents' phone numbers and my wife's phone number.
Interesting.
But I've always had my grandparents my whole life, and my wife at least 10 years before I started noticing these things.
Mine
Like,
is the one I've been hit with a lot lately is 1771. 1771. Yep. And so I mean it happens. I don't know.
I don't ever tell mine anymore. I told one person at one time, and he stopped speaking to me that day.
Why?
It's, I,
He's like, well, my numbers are 69, 420.
well, it was a situation where I tried some. I tried like a light business venture that was against something he wanted me to do, and I
Gotcha.
told him that I got the sign. I told him what the sign was, and he said, "Whatever, fuck you, 62." I'm like, no,
Oh, he weaponized it against you. I see.
yeah.
That's rude. Sorry that happened.
I still talk. I talk to him a little bit now, but for like a year or two, he wouldn't speak to me. I'm like, so I don't ever tell anybody anymore.
Well, everybody's got their reason for things, and that's okay. They're yours. It doesn't matter to anybody else what they are anyway. They're personal to you. But they are significant. I mean, there is something to it. And like you said, people, they just got to pay attention.
I think it's crazy how, like, if you look, like, you take your angel number, the number next to it, and it has a different meaning in the same vein.
Yeah.
Like, it's wild.
Yeah. It's complex, but it's not nearly, I mean, it's the same concept. That's what people don't understand. Like, I don't follow my horoscope because it's never right. Well, it's right. It's not going to be, because your astrology is your entire birth chart. It's huge. And when you dig into it, then you find truths in it, but it's a huge undertaking. Don't look up your astrological sign. Look up your life number. Look up your life path number.
I think mine's 9.
And follow that. I'm an 11. And
I don't know what those mean. I haven't really delved into those yet.
You're at the end of your cycle. That's what that means.
9?
9, yeah. So the way that life paths work is that you start off at 1, and then you continue through all the way up to 9.
Mm-hmm.
And through those different paths, you're learning your life force is learning different things. That's kind of a
Oh,
goes in tandem with like reincarnation, if you believe in that type of
yeah.
thing. So when you hit 9, you're almost complete. Okay, so when you're gonna skip 9, right? After 9, you don't go to 10, you go straight to 11. And at 11, what your job is to do is to go teach everybody what you've learned. And so you're right there. You're almost at the end. Next time
That's
you'll be
cool.
an 11. Yeah. And then after that, you'll be a 22, which is just basically an expert 11.
Really?
It's interesting. Yeah, it's neat
Damn.
stuff.
Look, because some of the stuff like the horoscope, like you said, isn't exactly specific, but the numerology stuff has been pretty spot on.
Yeah, it's very spot on. It's a lot easier than astrology. If you were to dig into your birth chart, you would find that it's a lot more specific. If you were to start reading your horoscope based on your birth chart, it is specific. But again, it's a lot. I mean, you might as well
Like a
get a
dissertation.
degree. It's crazy. Yeah, it's insane how much there is to know. And I'm just like, fuck this, man. I'm gonna do numbers instead. It's easy.
I started
Yeah.
looking up the my angel number on TikTok, and every once, like most people are just reading from the sites you go to, Sun Sign and whatnot.
Right.
And some of the ladies sit there and start charging their crystals. I'm like, okay, what the hell? What are you doing?
Getting
I'm
a
like, whoa, whoa,
real
whoa. You start shaking bones. Like, all
Yeah.
right, lady.
Yeah, they get crazy into it. I don't have the patience to really dig that deep. But I do when it matters. I do when I feel like it's significant. If I see numbers that I feel like matter, then I'll take the time. But I don't always base my entire days around it. Maybe I should, but I don't. I like the element of surprise.
Yeah, I when it's a particular amount of times I see something or
Yeah.
like how I'm feeling, and then it comes in the manner. That's when I start paying attention. Like one morning I went to work, and this is just a real good. This is like probably one of the best examples lately that isn't too complicated. But I was seeing it like every car had my angel. Every car, like it was everywhere. It was on billboards. It was the temperature. It was
That's
like my
very cool.
mileage on my truck said that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, today's going to be really weird. And sure as shit, something happened that would be considered bad at
Yeah,
work.
and you feel it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it to people. Like that's how synchronicity works. Synchronicity,
Hmm.
you like feel it in your whole body. It's crazy.
Yeah. What was crazy about it was when I like I said something bad was going to happen, but when it happened, I said, this is what that was about this whole ride in. And so I watched, like I started sitting back like I'm watching a movie, and sure enough, it ended like really really positive with zero consequences on my end. But like I watched it like it was saying, this is going to scare you to death, but when it's over, you're going to realize.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. Uh, Rebel says, what it means when you stop seeing them abruptly. It means you've reached the end of what they were trying to tell you. You've solved your little riddle that your subconscious was after.
You've either solved it or you have fallen way away from the path. There's kind of no in between.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I didn't want to mention that part.
You know, it just depends. So just kind of take stock of your situation. Does it seem like it came full circle? If so, great, celebrate and just wait for the next time it happens. If it doesn't seem like it's come full circle, then you need to reroute your path and start doing something a little differently because you're cold now. You were hot. You were on fire.
Yeah.
That's why they're
I've
there.
had them in before that were like on fire, like the one I have that seems to follow me my whole life, and it just ended. And then the one my whole life that I followed my whole life just took over again. Like it's kind of like a subplot. Choose your own adventure.
Came back.
Yep. It came full circle.
It does. Yeah, it does. It happens that way. And that's actually, it's kind of what the numbers represent. Everything eventually comes full circle with them.
I'll tell you what, a Rebel, if you Google it, there's like 6 different sites, and there's one that's really wacky that I don't think are actually. I think they're trying to sell you something. It's just like scares you
Oh,
half
yeah.
to death, and the rest are legit. And the way you tell is if you pick your number that you think you're seeing a lot. No, it's not just like your dashboard says 58 a lot, or how. I mean, you'll. I know. Yeah. I mean, that's what I was about to say. When it's your number. Like you feel it. Like it comes in like you wash your hair in the shower and it's from the soap suds. It's right, that kind of shit. It's
Yeah.
you see ants on the ground. It's in that number. It's that kind of shit. If you look it up and they all say the same thing thereabouts, and then the one says it means your dog's gonna get hit by a car. I mean, that's don't follow that one. There's one that's all gloom and doom.
Don't claim that one. That's
Yeah.
run away. That's what I say about tarot readers. I don't really I mean, I suppose I respect the hustle to a degree, but like people that charge for tarot readings, it's really not fair because you can do that shit yourself. You don't need to purchase anything. All this stuff you could do yourself. You don't need to buy anything to get that information. And I think it's ridiculous that there are people that monetize it and scare you into buying stuff.
I'll tell you what scares you about tarot readings. When they start doing that shuffling.
It scares you, makes you nervous.
And those cards are giant.
Yeah, they're huge.
And the ladies doing always have long fingernails. And so they start going,
they're good.
And fingernails get to going, and they always got shit on their finger. It's a whole thing.
That's how you know they've been to prison, man. That they get them shuffling hands.
Well, they always have like crazy. I say I see people start shuffling tarot cards, it starts freaking me out a little bit because they're giant cards. It looks almost like kid toys.
Giant cards and tiny hands, yeah.
And they start flipping them over and saying stuff, and they have like weird symbols, like a genie on one and a dog on the other. What does it all mean? They can be saying anything.
I like tarot cards. That's another thing. Tarots don't, people think tarot predicts the future. It doesn't. It just gives you a new perspective on your situation. That's all. That's all it is.
I think there's some legitimacy to them. Don't get me wrong. I think there's something to all of this if you just know how to look at it, but still, it's the long fingernails and giant cards. I'm like a small child.
The huge rings.
I'm getting scared like I used to get scared watching Bambi at the deer fight. So tarot cards are not too far off from scary.
They'll have like bracelets with bells and shit on them. It's twinkling around while they're shuffling. Yeah, I understand.
And charging a crystal in the background.
Oh yeah, running the sage. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I watch those channels. I know.
Yeah, I gotta catch myself. I'll get fascinated with them because I'm trying to study like if what I see with the numerology is real or at least on my little shallow end of the numerology pool. Like something else has to be real at least. I mean, the energy has to be the same.
Well, it's if it's real to you, then it's real. That's the bottom line. That's
it could be how the spirits speak to you too. That they know you're watching that particular thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here. Tarot card game.
I remember that game. I know what game you're talking about, Rebel. It is really creepy. It's a really creepy game. It is super weird. You're like at some woman's house and she's like got different like tools of divination that she uses. Tarot card reading is the main one. It's really weird. Yep.
Everybody on here is aging herself right now.
I know, right? It was really up. I can't remember. It's called like Madam something. I don't remember. I want to look it up too.
House of Tarot?
Madam something's House of Tarot. Tarot card video game. I'm gonna look it up.
It just looks creepy.
It's real weird.
Remember looking at the back of games back in the day? You turn the game over to see the little clip. It was you never got to that part in the game. Like this wasn't even in the game.
Yeah. Sure.
They show the outtakes or the cutscenes on like the commercials, not actual gameplay.
Right. Well, they do that shit now, and it's like, then why do you show it to me? I'm a video game nerd. That's my other passion is video games. And whenever you watch E3, I guess E3 isn't a thing now, but you watch these like video game trailers, those parts don't happen in the game. It's just a lie. Just straight up lie to you.
Oh, they show like the part right after you win a certain level.
Right.
Like that's not in the game. The game is 8-bit. That's cool. Well, all right. We have done an hour and 35 minutes, and I've kept you long enough. I know you got kids and animals.
Yeah, I have one kid and animals, and I did a show right before this. It's been a day.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I felt bad when you said how busy you were lately. I'm like, I'm just fucking everything up.
It has been absolutely out of my brains busy, but it's almost over. So I am thankful for that. But, still, I didn't want to cancel and reschedule because this had been scheduled for a while. So I originally had interviews scheduled today. Well, I scheduled 2 back-to-back shows. So I had to cancel all those. Oh, well, it is what it is.
Well, if Glenn Jackson threw his name in there. He'd be a good co-host for you if you ever need somebody in a pinch.
Glenn Jackson is on my interview list.
Yeah, he told me he was. He's a good guy. He's one of me and him do each other's shows a couple times a week.
I'll be excited to talk to him. It's been really fun talking to everybody. It's been hard. I have multiple co-hosting positions open actually, and so it's been fun to do the search. But it's been even funner to just. I mean, I get on the phone with these people and we just talk about everything, and it's like, well,
I need a co-host too, so I've been following this saga. I'm like, how's this going to work out? Like I'm like learning by proxy here.
What's going on? Yeah, it's been fun, but I'm excited to talk to Glenn because I don't think we've ever spoken before, so that'll be nice.
He's a fun guy. Means very well. Very, very hard charger.
Awesome. I'm excited to talk to him. Well, good. You're probably the first person I've heard a recommendation from anybody. So about anybody, and I've got to meet people. So
yeah, he's had like real life experiences with the paranormal and cryptid, so he's got like actual trauma on his heart, you know.
Yeah,
he's got some good stuff. Ask him about his Bermuda Triangle story.
Ooh, I will. Yeah. I love that.
Maybe something to look forward to.
Definitely, for sure. But yeah, thanks for having me on. And I mean, I'll come back some other time, and maybe I won't be as exhausted, and maybe I can get my camera to work.
You've been doing fine. Everybody watching, this is Ashley Hilt from the Asherz. Her link tree is in the description of this video, so it's like all things Asherz.
Yes, come check me out. Come listen to on Wednesdays We Talk Weird. Sorry if I come off as a bitch. It's just my humor. You guys can't see my face, so that makes it harder for me to deliver the jokes. I'm sorry.
It's from the Asherz, isn't it? From the
Asherz is the YouTube channel, but
the link tree broken. The link of the link tree broken.
Oh no! Yeah, broken it.
I'll fix it. On Wednesdays We Talk Weird is her channel on iTunes and Spotify. That's what you need to know.
Yep, come check it out.
Yep. Thank you very much for being on, Ashley. And we will end this mofo right now. We'll turn some music on. Here we go. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks, Ashley. I'll let you get back to your life now.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right, see you. Thanks for being on.
It sound right, boy.